Well, Emmett was the driving force behind the first ever.
Originally in 2016, we did a night in the Kino, which was local short films. So we actually asked people to create films, especially for the night. And that was kind of the first one. It was an impromptu kind of local event with plays and short films and music. And then a few years afterwards, in 2018, we were just talking about it, and we said there's something to that. We should expand it and reach, kind of try to for a global reach. So, but it started, ironically, we're back in the Kino this year, and it's nice to be back where it began.
Yeah, so I suppose we started then looking at, because we make genre films a lot of the time as well. There was nowhere really for them to go. A lot of festivals weren't supporting them. In Ireland at the time, IFI used to do their horror days, their Horrorthon, their 1 day a year thing, but there was nothing else really. So we said we'd started to give people a voice in Ireland, and we got so many international films come in that first year, and not too many Irish, about 20 or 25 Irish films that first year that came into us. But that's grown and grown and grown, and this year we've had more Irish films probably than international films, which is great to see.
Yeah, every year it gets more and more with Irish submissions. That's great.
Shorts primarily, and then we started thinking about what guests could we bring in, because we started it for the filmmakers. We're not a festival that's run for money. It's entirely not for profit. Everything we make goes right back into the festival again. And over the years, we've used that to bring some guests to the festival at different times. And I suppose that first year when we started it up properly, we had Caroline Munro. People would know from the Hammer.
Madeline Smith.
Or Madeline Smith, sorry, the first year. Caroline came next year, Madeline Smith, and we had Meg Foster come over, and Nicholas Vince and Chris Rowe. They all came over the kind of first year. We had it down in Clonakilty, and we do screenings and Q&As with some of them as well, and they'd hang out afterwards. And
having drinks with Evelyn from Masters Universe was pretty surreal. So it is great though, because it lets people get access to interesting guests like this, and we try to do workshops when we can as well. There's been makeup and special effects workshops. There's been actor workshops.
Yeah, and I suppose the Roz and John Hubbard and Dan Hubbard as well have come along different years as well to talk about the casting side of the business. Chris Rowe would talk about kind of the management side and that kind of thing as well. And then, like I said, we've had loads of great guests. Courtney Gaines came over, Jonathan Breck, Caroline Munro. We've had some wonderful kind of genre film guests come over the years and talk, about film. Liam Cunningham obviously came down for our big event on Spike Island, and we've been over to Spike Island twice for two big events. So
that's the thing I will say, right? 2019 with Liam Cunningham, it was kind of like everything was kind of going together nicely, and then we all know what happened in 2020. So it's been sort of a bit of a struggle, but each year we're trying to keep it going and get better and better.
And that's it. And we're already out looking for sponsors for next year to help kind of bring it back to where it was in 2019. But we need sponsorship to be able to do that. Like I said, it's run not for profit, and we're kind of, with some of the connections we've made since we started the festival, the sky is the limit in terms of what we can bring over, but the funding is really the limit.
The funding is the limit.
So
every year gets bigger and
bigger. I think this year it was over 360 films came into us, and maybe 15 to 20% of them is all we can screen.
Yeah. I think this year we have, I think it's 16 countries we're representing, so kind of nice to get global reach like that. Is. But as I said, more Irish this year than ever before. And we say this every time as well, but it's a nice place for shorts, because I love the short film as a form, and it's like you see it at festivals, sometimes to be on TV, but it's kind of rare to find, I suppose, YouTube and Vimeo and stuff. So it's a place to celebrate the short film. So I'm very much... I'm a big proponent of that. So.
Yeah, and I think the filmmakers that do come along to the festival as well, they meet each other, they talk to each other, and because there's not too many kind of genre festivals in Ireland, they're probably filmmakers that don't meet that often. So they meet here and they chat here and they get to know each other, and hopefully go away and create stuff together or share ideas and that.
Also, right, something I've noticed, right, it's like at every film festival, you'll meet people, you'll talk about the art of film. But horror people really geek out easily when they meet, more than any other group of filmmakers I've ever met. I actually, even earlier, I nearly missed a screening because I was talking to one of the filmmakers about something. So like you kind of just end up in these great conversations and meeting people you never would in any other way. So.
Yeah, and I suppose at the end of the day, that's what the festival's about. It's about the filmmakers, and it's about giving them a place to screen their work, and also a place where they can just come together and chat.
Hi, my name is Richard Herity, and I am a filmmaker from the Midlands of Ireland, and I have made a film called Night Terror that's at this festival this year. It's kind of a love letter for the kind of grindhouse, kind of silly horror movies of the 70s and 80s. It's about a man who is suffering from traumas at night and from his past, and it comes to a head in the woods one night where the monster kind of attacks him. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very excited. I just want to say thanks very much for accepting this movie into the festival. And yeah, some of the movies and short films I've seen so far are really good. I just saw one. It was called The Sleep Experiment. I recommend it wherever you see it anywhere. It was really good. This is the first short film I made myself. I've made some documentaries before, and I've been to a couple of other festivals. I've been to Offline with a documentary I made about an Irish soldier called The Soldiers in the Shadows who fought during World War I. And I was part of a team who made a animation kind of introduction to the environment in Ireland called Ireland's Green Goals. That was at Disappear here, I think it was in 2019. But to get to festivals in Ireland, it's just a lot of fun. I just love, if I have enough time, I go to see all of them. But you know yourself, I don't really.
We've watched so many horror films over the last 7 or 8 years. It's really nice when something surprises us. It doesn't happen very often.
I'm going to point. I won't say anything about the film, but I once figured out who the killer was in the first 20 seconds because of a camera. I was like, oh, they highlighted that character with a weird camera angle. They must be the murderer. So you like, obviously that's just us. We're jaded now.
Yeah.
But no,
I'd say if people are looking, just try and do something different. I mean, your idea mightn't be unique, but the way you tell the story should be unique. Absolutely. And if you can tell a nice, unique story, and you can have a bit of fun with it. And don't be afraid to put humour into it. Horror and comedy go so well together. Yeah. The timing of them is very, very good. The kind of timing in a horror film, timing in a comedy film is almost identical. So we get some great horror comedies, and we get some great terrifying films as well. That you kind of have to go away and watch a sitcom after you watch a few of them sometimes.
And sometimes actually when you've watched about 5 very heavy films in a row, a comedy, it gives a halo effect to that comedy. You're so happy to have something. But yeah, I will also say, to kind of echo Steve's points, if you're going to make a film and submit it to us, don't worry about like budgets, whatever. Just make what you can, and if it's a good idea and if it's well enough executed, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's why I want to encourage people that if you don't have the means, still give it a go.
That's it. And we have a big student section as well. That we don't have a student section in terms of student programs. We mix them in with the Irish. We mix them in with the international shorts as well. And I think a big thing about filmmaking as well is don't be afraid to take a risk. Do something. Don't be afraid of making a mistake. Try something.
Also, I want to highlight as well that the very first year we had a thing called 2-minute terrors, where we encouraged local filmmakers to make films under 2 minutes. And we still have that category. So if you have a short, someone sent us a film that was like 15 seconds once.
Yeah.
There's a film, a good film this year that's 35 seconds. Yeah. So we're up for things like that as well, as long as the idea is kind of sharp enough.
The idea is good. I would just on some of the films, things that probably let down films is just kind of a bit of general advice for people is maybe have another edit of a lot of films if they're running a little bit long, or have people you can send them to that you trust to give you honest feedback. You don't want anybody telling you that your film's awful or anything like that, because rarely do we see a film that's awful. Very, very rarely. But every now and then, it's just you could think you could take 3 or 4 minutes out of this. And
also that's actually a thing I want to talk about as well, where it's like we submit films to festivals ourselves because we're filmmakers, and a rejection is always sore. But sometimes we've learned through the running of a film festival, sometimes it's not about the quality of the film. Sometimes we just can't fit it in time-wise. Sometimes it's not horror enough. It's not a rejection of the work itself. It just doesn't fit with the ethos of the festival. So we try not to discourage anyone.
No, it's very rare we get a bad film, and that's what makes it harder sometimes to turn away a film, because it's often a very good film, but we just don't have the time to screen every film we get, or the festival will be running for 3 months.
I did want to say as well that there's a funny thing as well where we've noticed throughout the years of doing this that sometimes there's trends in films that we wouldn't be aware of if we weren't seeing. So like a few years ago, there was a lot of time loop films, and I think that this was because of Russian Doll was out and Happy Death Day was out. That's just my theory about that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting the trends you notice in horror. It's like a little microcosm of what's going on.
COVID times, we got a lot of zombie films.
Yes.
And it's great to see. It's great to see that you have a filmmaker in Canada and a filmmaker in Chile and a filmmaker in Japan and Australia and someone in France and Germany, and they're all making similar films that are different, but they're all on the same page. And it's fascinating to see, and it's great to see.
Yeah.
That those influences are still out there on people. So yeah.
So hi, my name is May America. I'm a French filmmaker based in London, and I directed a film called Ariane Baby that was showing at the festival this weekend. It's the story of Ariane, who is a single pregnant woman who is really excited to welcome to the world her baby, but as the birth draws near, she starts to let the anxiety reach her, and she's having nightmares about monsters who are trying to steal her baby, and that makes her question whether or not she will be able to take care of her baby properly. So it was my graduation film for the London Film School. We had to make a film, so it could be any type of film, but I feel like with the budget we have, it was nice to make a short film to just show what we can do and eventually maybe move to a feature later on. I think it's great to be able to show your film around the world, to different countries, and to see what other people are doing as well. What was nice with this one was the fact that it was centered around horror films, and it is so interesting to see how horror is perceived in Japan, for instance, or in Ireland versus how it is in France or in Spain. So it's interesting to see like all the different type of horror that exist. There were like some comedies, some pure horror, some things that were a bit more psychological. So it's nice to see a lot of diversity in what people do.
Oh, very much so. It can kind of help build talent and connections with people, and it kind of gets, it's kind of a way for people to connect and kind of get that creativity moving across, especially in Ireland, where I think there's a lot of talent. It's just sometimes it's hard for them to kind of get into the spotlight. So festivals like this, it's really important, and hopefully this will continue for many more years.
They're really important. I think it's great for young filmmakers to show what they're capable of doing, but I also think that even for people who are already established in the industry, it's just so completely different from feature films. It's a different way of telling stories. The structure is very different. So it is an art in itself. So I think it's really important to have short films.
As a calling card for filmmakers, it's a great way to kind of hone your craft. And so when you see films like something like Lights Out, which started as a well-regarded short that was then expanded. So like I was talking to actually one of the filmmakers who's here this year about she thinks she struggles with shorts because of the shorthand you have to put into them to get ideas across. So I think there's a certain skill making a short work and making it compelling because you've so little time. And I think that's the best kind of film school.
Yeah, and I think it's practice. It's like anything else. If you can make a few shorts and you can do them well, then why not go and try and make a feature? And I'd say that to a lot of filmmakers too, who like might have a film that's around 20 or 25 minutes and you're really happy with it. Why not think, can I expand on this somewhere? Can I tell more of a backstory, more of a B story and turn it into a feature? And have a go doing that. I suppose budget holds a lot of people back when it comes to making a feature, and shorts are kind of easier that way. But like Emmett said, shorts are a great way to kind of hone the craft and show off what you're capable of doing. Whether it's a director, a writer, even cinematography, lighting, sound, whatever it is, it's a great way to show off what you're capable of doing.
And we have one more piece of advice that I think is very important, right? Sound is vital. A film can get away with mediocre visuals as long as the sound works, but if no one can hear what your film is doing, so I would say prioritize sound in your films.
Absolutely.
I watched a lot of them. It was by the end of the day, it's a bit exhausting, but while you watch them, it's really inspiring, I think. It's generating new ideas, and yeah, no, it's exciting to watch so many of them.
We haven't decided that yet. Usually it's around the 1st of October, but that's a bit tight to this year's festival, so we'll give ourselves a couple of weeks off. It'll be before Halloween anyway, so sometimes around mid-October we'll open it up again, and usually from then until the end of January is kind of the early bird deadline where it's the cheapest to submit. So we give people a nice kind of, you know, long few months there to start with to get their films in, so there's no panic in trying to get it in too quickly. And again, we say to people, you know, if they are struggling and things like that, don't be afraid to give us an email and that, and reach out to us. And you know, waiver codes can be given to people in some circumstances and things like that as well. But like we said, we're run not for profit. Our fees for entry are like tiny compared to other festivals anyway. But don't be afraid to reach out to us. You know, don't let the entry fee put you off entering a film.
And if you need more time to finesse the film or finish it, absolutely.
Don't be afraid to get in touch and say, look, here's a rough cut. I'll send you it when it's finished. You know, don't be afraid of things like that. But you know, do reach out to us.
It's a horror film festival, but we're not scary.
Yeah, that's it.
Where can people reach you at?
I suppose spookscreen@gmail.com is a good email. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. You'll find us under Spook Screen there.
And spookscreen.ie.
Spookscreen.ie is our website that needs a bit of an overhaul at the minute, but we'll get to it eventually. It's a lot of work, but I think Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and the email are kind of the best ways of getting in touch with us. And if people are on Film Freeway anyway, they'll be able to contact us through Film Freeway as well into our email. So lots of ways to get in touch with us. And we said, don't let the entry fees put you off, and don't let deadlines put you off. You know, do get in touch, and we can, you know, be flexible with some people sometimes.